We are going to Milan today. We are going to spend some time looking at the Duomo, and boy, is it amazing. But to stop us from saying amazing, we actually created this word bank because there are so many words that we can use to describe the Duomo. And of course, our default is amazing. And we find that when we look at our old video, we say that a lot. So yes, we're going to try not to. We aren't guaranteeing anything though.
No, but we're going to go through some astonishing, some awe-inspiring, some awesome, got rid of the A's, descriptions of the Duomo.
Okay, so welcome. Let me go ahead and get the slides in the right position. I have to put on my glasses to do that. I can't read. I think this is the way it goes. Yeah, there we are.
Everything's working today. A little some technical issues with the call last week, but today it's bueno.
So Milan, it's a beautiful city, and of course, the piece de resistance of the city is the Duomo. For those of you that don't know us, first of all, welcome. And we are Kim and Wei.
That's Kim.
I am.
I'm Wei.
That's Wei. And here we are in Puerto Vallarta, which we actually just left. We are now in Guadalajara. So if you see a different kitchen, that's why.
You've been with us the last few weeks. The background has changed.
If you get our newsletter, we tell you all about it in there. So I will just leave it at that. See, we have the license plate to prove that we are Kim and Wei.
We're registered.
We actually got that in Puerto Vallarta. Yeah. I love it. I'm so excited about it.
So what we're doing is we're on this project called the 60 by 60 journey. We are but we'll be going to 60 countries by the time Kim turns 60.
Which is in 2024, if you are keeping track. And just so you know, we are trying, because right now we are not traveling to new countries because of the pandemic. So
obviously,
we're sort of grounded here in Mexico. Yes, we did do a little traveling less than an hour away from Puerto Vallarta, but
we moved inland a little bit, and we're going to hit Mexico City next, but it's not a new country for us. But I think we can stay. We've done 17 countries so far, so we're more or less on track, and we'll have to make it up when the world opens up again.
A few countries. Yeah. So, hey, Bruce. Hey, Sam. Glad to see you guys here.
Thank you guys for coming.
So on to the Duomo. We're going to get right to it. There's a lot to talk about with this magnificent piece of architecture.
It's really hard to describe the Duomo because...
Hence the word bank.
Hence the word bank. It's unprecedented. It's okay. Anyway, one of the reasons why it's difficult to describe and why it is so incredible is that it took so long to build, over 600 years, and they used so many different architects and engineers and different.
As you can imagine, 600 years.
Right. And they pulled in engineers and architects from many different countries. And as technology changed, it's construction and engineering changed. So it's described usually as Gothic, but it's not.
And the reality is they don't even know who to credit the original plans of the Duomo to. That person remains unknown. So it is really interesting how it's all come together when you realize it took over 6 centuries to build.
Yeah.
So one thing you'll notice is a lot of odd angles from our photos, and that is because the structure is so immense that it's hard to just take a straight on photo. And so you have us looking up a lot or down the side, and it is surrounded by really narrow streets. So you can never really get a good view except from across the plaza, and we'll talk about that.
Right. So we talked about it takes 600 years to build, but in the first 20 years, they built half of it. So from 1386 to 1402 or whenever that they...
1406.
Whenever. It wasn't exactly 20 years, but really rapid progress, and it looked like it was going to be done quickly in a lifetime. But then the main architect of the day died, and they ran out of money.
And so they ran out of money and kept doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that for 300 years. They get some money, do a little bit, and then back and forth.
Right.
So 300 years of almost no progress. And you can see, even though we have an official end date,
right,
it is still a work in progress. You can see there's scaffolding around the tallest spire, which holds the Madonna.
There'll always be restoration and repair.
Right. And there's still carving on the facade as well.
Right. They say 1965 was the official end date. It's when they hung the last door. I think that they'd get the doors on sooner, but anyway. But obviously there's still some carvings and things going on. And so the original plaque from 1386 is there for everyone to see. And the reason that it got finished is that Napoleon came along in the early 1800s as king of Italy, not England. And said, "Get it done." But it stood, idle for so long.
Yeah. So one of the things about the Duomo is it was designed to be the tallest and central figure to Milan, and it was the tallest building, where the Madonna, who sits upon the tallest peak, well, not peak, spire, protects the city. But then the evil Pirelli towers. I don't know.
Pirelli built Pirelli towers, and they built it 3 feet taller than the top of the Madonna.
Which doesn't sit well with me, by the way.
Well, it didn't go over well with anybody. So Pirelli made a replica of the Madonna and put it on top of the Pirelli Tower. So the Madonna is still the highest point in Milan.
Not good enough, if you ask me.
And still protector of the city. And then the city came along and passed a series of laws to make it illegal to build anything taller than the Duomo.
But it's too late because the Pirelli towers are there. I think they should be forced to take off a floor, but Way says that's not
I don't know.
Feasible.
I have my PhD in engineering. So can't be done.
So if you guys were with us last week, you remember us talking about the Tikal temples, and Temple 4 is the tallest of those temples at over 200 feet.
I happen to remember it's 212 feet, so I don't know why that sticks in my mind.
It's tall enough to bring it above the tree line, as you can see in the photo in the upper corner. Well, the Duomo's taller.
Yeah, to put that in comparison, the Duomo is 215 feet. So there's a 64 meter and a 65 meter structure. So it just gives you an idea. These are two really giant temples. And the Duomo was, as we said several times now, it started in around 1400, and Tikal Temple number 4 was started in 700, but they're at the same height. So engineering at the time was still pretty incredible, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So just another shot of trying to get an idea of how tall and immense this is. And this is not the tallest part either.
One of the things worth pointing out here is if you look at the archways, those are stained glass windows. That's how tall, and we're going to talk about stained glass windows coming up in a little bit. But I just want you to remember, when we talk about how tall they are, think back to this image. So here we are. One of the best places to get a shot of the Milano is across the Plaza del Duomo. It's very well framed. You can get a good shot of it there.
So the Duomo's in the Piazza del Duomo, obviously, and there's also the statue of Victor Emmanuel II, also a famous part of the Piazza, and he was the first king of England and
Italy.
Jesus. Remember that Italy was, divided into these city-states for most of its history. So it wasn't until the 1800s that Victor Emmanuel II came along and was the first king of Italy. So they've got a statue of him here. And you want to point out the arch? Yeah,
so the archway just to the side of the statue is the Galleria of Victor Emmanuel. And it is designed a couple hundred years ago as a shopping center office complex, which I found pretty fascinating that that's what it was designed for. It's what it is today as well. But the architecture inside of this gallery is also phenomenal, with amazing tile work, archways, stained glass or glass roofs.
Yeah.
It's just really beautiful.
It's incredible. So we're gonna take you in different parts of the Duomo, but one of those is the outside. And you should spend a whole day just on the outside of the Duomo, and you can add some of these other places in that.
Yeah, just
that
in the
day as
square
well.
was really phenomenal. And that's what we did. We spent a majority of our time one day in the square, in the Galleria, just observing the architecture on the outside of the Duomo, and then we spent a full day inside.
There's something satisfying about the Galleria, because so many of these old structures, oh, they were built for this and now they're shops.
Mhm.
No, this was built for that. So
Yeah.
it's maintained its function for hundreds of years. So the Duomo is the center of Milan, and that spot has been the center of Milan for a long time. This is a map of Milan around 300 during the Roman times, obviously. And the spot where the Duomo is today was where a Basilica was in the year 300. And just like in Rome, where all roads lead to Rome, in Milan, all roads lead to the Duomo.
Yep, and you can look on the map. The Duomo's in the center of this map, and the roads either circle the Duomo or lead to the Duomo. And then, of course, on the left side of the screen is the footprint of the Duomo, which is in the shape of a Latin cross. And then the towers are not towers. I say
Pillars.
towers. You say England. I say towers.
towers.
Those dots inside of the Latin cross, inside of the map, are these massive, gigantic pillars, which we will show you how they're just phenomenal.
They're magnificent. I mean, people go to see the pillars, and it's like being in a forest, because the cathedral is massive, but you can't see it because of the pillars. It's like you can't see the forest for the trees, and that's really how it is inside.
So before we start talking about the outside, we're going to tell you how they got the marble.
Right. So the marble comes from only one very small area in northern Italy, and it's near where Kim's family is. We spend a lot of time there.
People.
So we're on the Isola Pescadori, is where this picture is taken, and you're looking towards the Alps, the foothills of the Alps there, and that's where the quarry is. And on the left-hand side is Baveno, where we spend a lot of our time. And the marble for the Duomo comes only from here. And that marble is not used anywhere else.
Now, this is a quarry. It's not the quarry, but that's sort of what the quarries are looking like. And you'll find them in various sides of mountains and hills in this area, where a lot of the Italian marble comes from.
And so you can see we're on the lake here, and the river Toca leads up into the Alps, and that's how they transported the stone back in the day.
At least to this portion.
Right. So they take down the river onto Lago Maggiore and then down the river a bit more, but the river didn't go to Milan, so they had to dig some canals to get the stone to the Duomo. And some of those canals are still they're not functioning, but they're still there, and now they're used just as a backdrop for restaurants and shops and that kind of thing. But still beautiful.
Now, we put this picture on for a few reasons. Start noticing some of the statues that are carved onto the facade, but it's also gives you a little look at the pink marble. If you look up the tower, you can see the different shades. And it's really hard to describe. It's not like a in-your-face, everything's one shade of pink type of thing. It's really this graduated shades of very pale pink. It's really just beautiful.
And obviously, as they're digging the marble out over the centuries, it's not all the same.
Right.
Changes as they're in different places. And it's really beautiful to look at now, because they just restored it and cleaned it.
It took them about 3 years to do it.
Yeah, they started in 2003 and they finished just in 2009. So it still looks great. Essentially they took whatever their method of power washing is. I'm sure they didn't use a power washer.
We hope.
And cleaned it up, and it is spectacular.
So what we're really wanting to pull your focus to here is just the amount of statues and carvings there are. In fact, there are over 3,400 different carvings on the outside of the cathedral. That doesn't include anything on the inside. It also doesn't include there's 3,400
statues, which apparently are different than gargoyles, which there's, 100 and something gargoyles. And then another 700 figures, whatever that means. And then another 135 spires with people, statues on top of them.
So I'm going to show you the spires in a second, but just look at the space. Oh, there's the spires. But just look at the space and start counting.
There are more statues in the Duomo than any building in the world.
And here are the spires, and then the biblical characters.
135 biblical characters. I didn't know there were that many, characters in the Bible.
And then, of course, the Duomo has been around for so long. It has survived wars. So this is a picture actually from World War II. Right.
So obviously, there's always this progress on building the Duomo, but during the war, it got unbuilt a little bit. So the Allies actually
damaged.
They targeted the Duomo, which I think is terrible, and the person in charge of that raid was reprimanded, I guess. Fortunately, all the bombs missed their target, but there was some damage. And actually, the people of Milan during the bombing campaign of Milan, they gathered around the Duomo and in the square, thinking that the Allies wouldn't bomb it because it is so beautiful and iconic and irreplaceable.
And one of my theories is because this Way laughs at me, but because it's taken so long to build, and they brought in people from all around the world to build it, that every country has a little bit of a tie to this magnificent piece of work that you wouldn't want it destroyed. But apparently whoever was in charge of that raid didn't get the message.
Didn't get the memo. So then another time that Duomo's been shut down was just this year in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. And obviously, I think we all know that Italy got hit really hard. And at the height of the pandemic, when hundreds of thousands of people were infected and thousands were dying, they opened the Duomo.
Yep. The country was in lockdown during that time. And it's hard for anybody to be in lockdown, but the Italian culture is that's very social. I mean, you are not at home. You are out having coffees and meals and everything with friends and family. And it's really hard to not be social, to go from, and the lockdown was strict. But very strict.
But to bring everyone together, they opened the Duomo.
To Andrea Bocelli, and he sang Amazing Grace to the world, really. And it really was an inspirational, awe-inspiring performance that sort of gave the Italians and others the wherewithal to do what they needed to do to sort of lick this thing. And if you haven't seen it, like if you didn't see it when it came out and when it happened, please go take a moment to watch it on YouTube. It is a stunning performance.
Yeah, it's really unprecedented.
Raises goosebumps.
Really brought the Italians together.
Okay,
we're headed in. So this is a door, and there are 5 huge bronze doors that open into the Duomo. Only one's open for tourists. And we're not really sure what we're doing here, but we stood in line to do this.
At the time, I remember thinking, and it actually didn't dawn on us until we were going through putting this together, that, we forgot to look up why we stood in line for this. So everybody stands in line to touch the door, and you can see where some of the oxidation has been rubbed off because of all of the people touching it.
Right.
So we did it thinking we'd look up why we were doing it later, which we never did, and still didn't actually. So I'm not sure about that.
I just keep working to get calves like that guy.
I'm obviously very happy to be touching his leg. And to put the door size in perspective, here is a person, probably either in front of us or behind us. I was trying to get the height of the door. She's touching the same leg I am. And that's not even the top of the door. Obviously, my photo skills need work.
So to me, it looks like halfway up there's the door handle, but there's no way you could reach that.
So that's how immense the doors are. And, and that's just the door. It's not even the building. So.
And the doors are new. The first one was hung in the late 1800s and the last one in 1965. I guess they just had some plywood or plastic sheeting before that.
So now we're inside of the church, and this is a really, I love this picture for a variety of reasons. It shows you a lot about the church. First of all, it's still a working church. You can see there's a service going on at the altar. And if you look above the altar, You're going to see the organ, which I have a close-up of coming up. There's obviously a couple of pillars. There's a second altar off to the side. So there's a lot going on in this picture, but this is the entire, this sort of sums up the entire Duomo. There's just so much going on.
Right.
You don't know where to look.
Yeah, and you can see there's paintings as well, and you'll see that in the next picture as well.
So this is
the organ.
Yeah, this is the organ, the
second largest organ in Europe in terms of pipes and registers.
We're not musical.
We don't know what registers are.
We didn't have time to ask our kids who have taken music lessons their whole life what that meant, but we're impressed.
Yeah, if you're an organ buff, please message us with what a register is.
This is where, you light candles. I light candles for my brother and sister in every church we go to. So I was doing that here. It was so beautiful and moving to me. There's something about, paying homage to your brother and sister in the country of your heritage. It was really beautiful. I think I may have even had tears. I have tears a lot when I do that. But so just to show that it is working, people come about and do their daily, attend masses, get their faith, go practice, all of that stuff. So
wow.
Not towers, pillars.
Pillars and the immensity of the church.
So I want you to, before we start talking about the pillars, I just and there's a couple of things about this image that I want you to take notice of. First of all, you'll notice some of the stained glass off to the side, and straight down the center, you'll see a red dot lower in what looks like light.
We're going to use the cursor to show that.
Sorry, I was told not to use my cursor anymore, but so here's this. But if you go straight up above this top window, there's another very faint red dot. So do you want to talk about that first or the towers?
Right. Well, so what that red,
and here it is a little closer up.
So that's a red light, electric light, and there it's showing where this box is that supposedly contains a nail from the crucifixion. And you can see how far up it is. And they pull this nail out once a year for, I need to look up the name of this.
The Nivola or something?
Yeah, the rite of the Nivola. I'm not sure what that is, but they pull the cross out once a year for that. And they used to have this very long ladder that they would pull out. And then
because you remember, look how tall it is. Look at how high up it is.
So they pull out this immense ladder, and a priest or whomever would climb up this precarious thing and pull the box out to show the nail. And then Leonardo da Vinci witnessed this and said, well, that's crazy. We can do better. And he devised this automated lift, I guess that looks like a boat, that they still use today to lift the priest up and down to get the nail and return it.
So Sam asked, how long is this hallway? And I think he's looking at this. This picture was taken from about 3/4 of the way back in the church.
Yeah.
So there's a little barrier that when you're touring the cathedral, you stay behind. So people that are practicing or participating in the mass have their space unintrusive.
So I don't know what the distance is, but overall the church is 12,000 square meters. That's like 130 or 140,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, long.
It is, long. So the pillars, did you talk about the pillars?
No, there's 52 pillars in here, one for each day of the week. And people go to the Duomo to see a few things, and the pillars are among that. And
so when he said earlier, it's like a forest, you can see the cathedral is immense, right? 12,000 square feet, but it doesn't ever feel that big.
1,000 square meters.
Or square meters, because the pillars sort of.
Yeah, it's almost a little stifling for the size. It's an interesting mix of immensity and also of a feeling that you aren't in a huge area.
Yeah. So when you enter the cathedral, there are a few things you want to pay attention to. So obviously you will not be able to not notice the pillars, but you really want to take notice of the stained glass. So here's a picture, and I included it just because I wanted to show you them peeking through and how you really need to go around the sides and look at them. They're
Right.
stunning. And here are a couple of images closer up. So you can see they're made of individual panes. And many of the original panes are actually housed in a museum that is part of your ticket. And these are replicas.
Go to the museum, and we'll take a quick jaunt through that at the end.
So when we talked about 3,400 statues on the outside of the Duomo, that doesn't include the statues that are inside, and I don't know that number.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to
but you can see this is one corner. This is just one corner. But I'm just trying to illustrate the uniqueness of the stained glass throughout this.
And the size of it. It's just breathtaking as far as how big this place is.
It really, really is. So pay special notice to the stained glass. It's famous for its stained glass work, and it's definitely worth spending time just staring at it. The other thing you're going to want to find is this statue.
So this is Saint Bartholomew, the flayed. And when I first saw this statue, I thought, wow, that's what a muscular guy, and a shawl covering all the right parts, right? So that's not a shawl, that's his skin, because he was skinned alive. And I guess he's muscular. Maybe we all look that muscular under our skin. It's when you know what it is, it's terrible to look at.
Yeah, I thought it was a really, so we did hire a tour to go through the inside of the church, and it was great to do. We aren't really tour people, but this tour was one where you got an earpiece and you could see things, and they would talk to you, and you didn't really have to stay with the group. So I remember seeing this before she talked about it, thinking it was an amazing work of art.
Which it is.
And then I heard the story, and
it's like, yeah, forget it.
It freaked me out a little bit. So Sam wants to know what the emotion we felt when we first walked in. So I can tell you, it came back when we were going through these slides. I remember walking in and my mouth just fell open. Like I was just astounded, and it was really a special feeling, like almost comfortable for me. Being raised Catholic, when you go into certain places that you hear about, you just feel like you're home. But I was truly just awestruck by what I felt. And there was a bit of sensory overload in not knowing where to look. And that's why we sort of wanted to sort of point out a few key things when you go in. Pay attention to this. So the stained glass, Saint Bartholomew,
and other statues,
and the floor.
Yeah.
So you can see the red light above, but you can see a little bit more of the detail of the floor, and then here. And
these tiles are original as well. I mean, the whole some of the statue and
marble of different colors in these patterns. It is stunning. It is you look at it and it's beautiful, and then you realize what it is, and you're like wondering how the heck they did it.
It is striking and stunning, as Kim said, almost stupefying. Going through the S's, but it's really slippery too. To use another S there, so you do have to kind of be careful.
So it's important to look up, because there's so much to look up, but don't forget to look down. I'm not usually one to say that, but look down.
Yeah, I say walk in and just pick a quiet corner and stand there for 20 minutes. Look around.
Let the awe overcome you.
Yeah.
So we're in the church. We're at the floor. Now it's time to
head upstairs. So.
No, not yet.
Talk about the sundial.
So one of the things that I totally forgot about this. One of the things that Milan is known for is it has its own sundial, and in part of the floor is what they call the meridian, which is that gold strip, and it is surrounded by signs of the zodiac. So the light comes in from an oculus up in the roof, obviously, and shines down at solar noon in the zodiac sign that it is. And then on the solstices, it hits certain points. But they used this sundial as to determine Greenwich Mean Time until
Right.
Greenwich took over that process.
Apparently, this is very accurate,
And
especially for a sundial.
And it's still accurate. It's not. Last summer, I think it was last summer when we were there.
Right, we couldn't see it.
We couldn't see it because of the work that was being done. The
Right.
scaffolding blocked the access to
block
the sun.
the light, right?
So
a little disappointing, to say
anyway.
the least.
There you go. So
Okay,
now,
let's make sure. Now are we going upstairs?
Now we're
Okay.
going up to the roof.
So there's a separate ticket to go on the roof, and
there are two types of tickets to get on the roof.
So get the roof ticket because you haven't seen the Duomo until you've been on the roof. And it's not a bad climb. It's a couple hundred steps up, and it's this narrow, winding stairway. You can pay more to take the elevator, but yeah, get a little workout in.
And you sort of earned the view that way.
And the view is it's really incredible, both in terms of you can see all of Milan from up there, and then the detail of the roof structures and statues.
So before we go more into the roof, Sam asked, knowing that the Freemasons may have built it, did you find any signs of effigies which support this theory? We didn't.
I don't know. I wouldn't know what to look for as far as...
and I didn't see any of the, I know some of the symbols of the Freemasons.
You do?
Well, just because we had a business in the Mason building, dummy. So anyway, but I didn't see anything, but I also wasn't looking for it either.
Yeah, true.
So, and it wasn't mentioned in anything that I've seen or read, so I can't answer that.
If they did, it's secret, obviously.
And I'm sure there's something hidden somewhere that
Right.
will create a movie around soon. Okay, so this is just, I love this picture just because it just shows you.
You can't see any of this from the ground because it's so far away, and you miss so much if you don't get on the roof.
This is a perfect picture of saying you just don't know where to look because there's so much happening.
Yeah. Again, the detail.
Yep. And if you look through, you can see, the city of Milan lays beyond it. And then here's some more of the spires. And
so the spires almost look smooth from the ground because they're 200 feet in the air, plus the distance you are from them. But they're not. They are
also
works
carved.
of art. And each one's a work of art in itself.
Yeah. And
these are the guys.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Erdu, famous biblical figure.
And again, we're just trying to show you how this is truly a work of art.
So go back to that one. You're looking at the top of one of the stained glass windows there.
Right. Which is crazy to me still. So this is when you come out, you're at the peak of the roof and you're looking down, and in the center is the spire with the golden statue of Madonna on top. You can see the scaffolding around that spire. It was
unfortunately, we couldn't get any closer.
But here's what she looks like. She's a little blurry, and that's because I blew it up from a far away photo. But there's the Madonna.
And it's just a shame that you can't see this. I mean, because of the size.
There's so much
that's lost. Yeah.
And yeah, just more work. There she is. So
these are the flying example of the flying buttresses, which was cutting edge technology at the time. But again, these are buttresses that hold the church up, but they're also works of art in themselves. And there's just row upon row upon row of them.
Yeah. When you're on the roof, you can walk around about 3/4 of it. You can see there's an archway there. So it's a safe passageway to walk around.
Yeah, on the left, you can see the
I included this picture because I wanted to give a little bit, because of the intricate work on the spire. I felt like it was a unique angle. And then of course you can see the city behind it, but I was trying to be artistic. I'm not sure I accomplished that, but it's a
pretty close.
Cool photo anyway.
Good effort.
We were leaning over outside of something taking this picture. I can't.
Probably not the safest thing to do, but sacrifices we make for
We
art.
were trying to get everything was such an angle. We were trying to get some good.
But again, so here are the spires again with the statues on top, which you can't see from the floor. And then if you look below, there's some of the buttresses with all of that detail carved in the stone. Wow.
And then as you're walking around, you have like these sections, and you have a walkway, and then you have the doorway, which we showed in the previous slide. And here's one of those sections.
Right, it's between the flying buttresses. And what I love about this photo is these are the roof shingles, and the shingles are made out of marble.
Yeah. And I'm surprised there's no other people besides me in this photo, because there were a lot of people just sitting on in these areas, just like some people were reading, some people were like talking.
Right, it's like they're going up there. I'm surprised people weren't out there sunbathing or something.
It was just a really relaxing place for a lot of people to be. So we found this one section, and we decided to take advantage of taking the picture.
Yeah, I love those tiles, the shingles, really what they are.
Which material was this church built with? Brick and mortar?
So yes, underneath it's brick and mortar, and then the facade is the marble.
And I think
more of the buttresses.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to illustrate here is if you look at the flying buttress and you look through it, you can see how many of them. They're relatively closely spaced. They're not far away. There's a lot of them, and that to me is even, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. But so we're on the roof. We've gone 3/4 of the way around, saw a great view of Milan. And now we're going down the stair steps all the way down to underground.
Underneath the church, right. So what's under the church is the level of the piazza in the Roman times, around 300. So, over time, things get built upon and the ground level raises. So they were doing some excavation, and they discovered this area under the church. And so you can just see some of the original Roman city from the 300s, some of the pillars and some of the brickwork.
It's also a separate ticket, worth it,
yeah.
In my opinion. It's really an interesting look. And then it also has this...
It's a baptistry, and it's the first one that was octagonal. I guess the others were round. There's some significance to that. So you can clearly see the shape, and here's a picture of in the day, people getting baptized there. And so that was the original floor at the time.
And then just some more ruins along the way.
Right, and even some of the original, I think the next slide, the original tile from the Romans.
So it's just amazing to be walking at that, time, and you're walking underneath this massive, massive structure, and that this was the original, plaza.
It's 3 or 4 meters underneath.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit. So here we are at the museum.
Yep, which does come with your ticket, and I suggest, at the time, I will say we were a little tired after all of that.
We debated whether we were going to go in the museum.
We're going up and down the stairs. It was hot. We were tired. I think we were leaving the next day for France. So we're like, should we just go get some food? And we're like, no, let's go do a run through of the museum. That was our approach. We'll just go do a quick look.
Right.
Well, so the museum is not that big. And it is really it is worth the see. It's not that big, so it's not a huge time-consuming thing after your long day of inside the cathedral.
But you can really see, obviously, the statues up close, and these are the originals. Many of the statuary that's on the Duomo are replicas just for preservation purposes.
And I would like to point out that these statues are not small. And these are the statues that are on the facade of the church.
Right.
They are, they're huge. It even boggles your mind more when you see them up close.
And this is one of my favorite pieces. I just love the look of it and the detail. And I don't know what happened. It looks like you got punched in the nose.
We're not really
permanently.
Sure who or what he is, though, so that's our fault. But I put it in because Wei loves him.
Yeah.
So inside you'll find, obviously, the statues from the outside and inside of the Duomo. You'll find some figurines and other altar.
Some of the gargoyles and
altar stuff.
Gifts.
Gifts.
You're Catholic, aren't you?
You'll see This is the only time I remember seeing gargoyles were actually inside
Right. So they're
the museum, because
they're there. They're just lost in all
there's
of the
like
other
over
stuff.
100 something of them somewhere, but it's
Yeah.
so hard to see everything you need to see. So even
I'm
if,
sure they've got this, but if they don't, someone needs to make a map of the statues and figurines on the.
because it all does tell a story as well. So some of the gifts. So here's some of the original panes of stained glass that are in the museum. And we were bad tourists because
You're not supposed to take photos of
the
this
stained
area.
glass.
You're allowed to take pictures in the museum and video, and we did. I guess we missed the sign for this one small room.
And so we were bad people. But after Milan, we sort of changed our approach, and we decided just not to really film or take photos inside museums, because we don't really want to be that person. And it was purely by accident, and we turned it off immediately. But
you sound very guilty about this.
I do. I'm Catholic. I feel guilty about everything, especially when I do something wrong. But we did have a couple of images on our phone from that, so that's one of them. And then just another cross from the altar. Yeah. And there you go. That's our little tour of the cathedral.
If you know, I forgot to mention, if you do go, there's a strict dress code and high security. So just dress,
Many
modestly.
men and women had these like paper little gowns that they were given that they had to tie, because you can't wear shorts
and flip-flops or whatever.
Yeah, so you just want to dress appropriately. I wore a dress and tennis shoes because I knew
you don't
we
have
were
to
going
be
to be climbing.
Formal by any means. And then act as if you're going through airport security, but you don't need to bring anything. So don't bring a bag, empty your pockets, because it is, you go through the metal detector and they go through a wand and you have to empty your pockets and just make it easy on everybody.
Yeah, I think we had something, didn't we?
It's something, a lot of people know this already and they just walk through it. It's easy. And then there's always that one guy that's like, oh, I can't bring this in. And they're holding up the line. So
this is again at the top, the apex of the church, looking out of the roof. So we just want to once again thank our patrons, because it's because of you guys that we bring these tours from home to you and to everyone. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can go to patreon.com, Kim and Wei. This tour from home will be up and for about a week until our next video post. Then it goes to reside with our other tours from home inside of the Patreon community. So when you join, you can access all of those plus some other goodies. Go take a look.
We will not be broadcasting next week.
Yeah, we have a couple of changes coming to our tours from home schedule. We are unfortunately having to do some last minute travel that we didn't anticipate. So we're taking the next 2 weeks off. Next week, right now we're in Guadalajara, and next week we're hoping to be touring a distillery in Tequila in preparation for a history of tequila tours from home. And then the week after, we have to actually leave Mexico, but only for 24 hours. We're just going to Houston and flying back so that we can complete our residency process. So
we flew in on the wrong visa.
We were bad people again.
Well,
not bad. We're just naive. So we're
instructions were not quite clear.
I haven't updated the schedule on our website yet, but I will be doing that later today. So go take a look at that. But we will be back Sunday, October 18th, and we are going to Athens, but not just the Acropolis, which in itself is amazing. We're actually going to take you on a tour of the Athens multi-site ticket, which is a ticket you can buy that gives you 5 days to explore some of the most amazing. There I did it.
There you go again. Lofty, inspiring, absolutely incredible
works of art.
Inconceivably impressive.
I look at this picture and I remember feeling so much of during the 5 days that we explored how incredible it was to be walking on the path of democracy, of where democracy was born. And I just think that was really poignant to me. And so I'm really excited to bring you this. Or I don't know if you are, but I am.
I'm moderately excited.
And there you go. Thanks for being here, guys. Any last questions before we head out? I hope we got to them all. It looks like
It looks like we did. I think so.
Looks like we did. I'm trying to look without my glasses, and that's
Good
a
luck.
bad thing. So 2 weeks, right back here. We'll see you then. Feel free to reach out to us via email or Facebook
Yeah.
page,
If you have any
YouTube,
other
whatever.
questions, let us know.
Yep.
Oh, Nikki, hello.
Hi, Nikki.
Um,
Thank you. Listening while moving and having an estate sale. Oh my gosh.
yeah, what's everybody doing while they're listening to us?
We
All
thank
right.
you for tuning in, even if you are moving. Good luck with all of that, Nikki. I can't wait to hear how it all turns out. So,
Well, thanks to everybody that's come on live here. Sam, thanks for the questions.
and we'll see you in a few weeks. Bye, guys.
Bye.